Hello, welcome to another video. In this video we'll talk about how we can define a function within the scope of another function. So let's see this particular example, then it will be easier for you. For example, we have a outer function. So name of this function is the outer function, and if you want to show the output, see the output in the console, then you can use the console log and you can write this message inside outside function. And we know that to run this particular function we have to call it, and if you want to call it, then you have to use the outer function and then you have to give the semicolon, and if it is having the parameter, then you have to pass the parameter as well to call this particular function. But is it possible to write the function inside this outer function? So this is possible, I'll show you, but before that let me save it and let me show the output of this particular function first, then we'll move to that part as well. So if you'll refresh it, you will be able to see that inside outer function. Now what we'll do, inside this particular function we can write another function expression like this one. So you can see that we have taken a variable and we are calling an anonymous function because we are not providing any name of this function, and inside this we are trying to write the inside inner function. And if you want to call it, then you have to call from this particular outer function, inside from this outer function. So if you'll try to access this particular anonymous function outside of this outer function, then it will be not possible. So let me show that as well. So if you want to call it, then it is possible that you can call with this particular variable inside this particular method, within this particular method. Okay, so if you'll call it inside the, if you'll call it the inner function inside the outer function, this is possible. So if you'll save it, then let me show the output, then it will be easier for you to understand the concept. So first it will call this outer function, so that's why it will print this one, and then it will call this particular inner function, so that's why this particular information will be printed in our console. So if we'll go to this particular output, then you can see inside the outer function, then it is calling the inner function as well. But if you will call this function and if we'll move to this particular, if we'll go, do you think this is possible? So let me save it and then I'll show you the result. So now we can see that this particular call is not possible. Because why? Because this inner function is not defined inside the outer function, right? So that's why it is not possible. It will give this kind of error, because outside it will try to access, this particular inner function. So it will try to access this particular inner function outside of this outer function, but this inner function is not present outside of this function. That's why it will show error. But we will try to call it inside this function, so it will be possible, because in this scope, this particular inner method, inner function, now it's accessible. Okay, that's why it's very much important. The inner function is defined within the scope of the outer function and can only be accessed within that scope only. Outside of that function, the inner function is not accessible. It will throw the error. The function expression are very much useful for defining the functions within the scope of another function, and this can be beneficial for encapsulation and creating the private function. So that's the example you can utilize in your project. So thanks for watching this video. See you in the another one. Till then, take care. Bye bye.